Good day, everyone. Let us do some application of inverse of a matrix. We will use this solution to linear system of equation. So let us go directly dito sa example number 1 since we're already familiar what is the inverse of a matrix. So, paano pa gamitin yung inverse of a matrix in solving a system of linear equation? So, we all know the conventional way of determining the unknowns dun sa ating system of linear equation, meron tayong dalawa. We have the by substitution or by elimination. But this time, we will use yung inverse of a matrix. So how to do this? Let us proceed. First, you need to assign a matrix. So I will assign matrix A and lahat ng entries doon kukunin natin sa numerical coefficient ng variables. So I already wrote it. Dun sa first entry, we have 5. Yun yung numerical coefficient ng x. And 3 dun sa y. Then dun sa second equation naman, we have negative 2 and negative 3. So this is already negative 2 and negative 3. So this matrix A came from dun sa ating original system of linear equation. Dun sa equation number 1 and equation number 2. So sinulat ko lang into matrix form. So this is matrix A. Assign natin as matrix A. So, ganun din naman, if I'm going to write this lahat into matrix form, so, I can say that this matrix 5, 3, negative 2, and 3, if we are going to multiply this by x and y, ang magiging equation natin is the same as this one. Okay? Since we already know how to do the multiplication of a matrix, or if you forget, you can just watch again yung ating topic under dun sa multiplication of matrix. Okay? So, dun sa ating mga previous topics, nandun yon. So, if you know already, then madali na lang i-check kung this equation is the same as this equation. So, this equation is under the system of linear equation, and this equation nasa matrix form na siya. Okay? Same lang tong dalawa na to. The same lang. So, sinulat lang to into matrix form. Okay? Since the value of our A is equal to this 5, 3, negative 2, and 3, therefore, I can easily write it down as A multiplied by X and Y, and this is equal to 6 and 12. Meron tayong 2 by 1 matrix na multiplier dito sa ating matrix A. Diba? This matrix is the matrix A. So, pinalit ko lang naman yung assigned variable niya, yung A. Okay? So, this equation is the same as this system of linear equation. So, kailangan tayo makapag-arrive sa ganitong equation. Okay? So, now, what is the first step? In order for us to use yung ating inverse of a matrix, kailangan mag-arrive tayo sa equation na merong inverse of a matrix. Right? So, the first thing to do is we will multiply this equation by inverse of a matrix. So, ito na yon, sinulat ko na. So, multiplied both sides by a raised to negative 1, or simply, this is our inverse of a matrix. So, I will proceed dun sa ating solution. Multiply both sides, the equation by inverse of a matrix. So, multiply natin to ng a raised to negative 1. Then, the result here is equals to a multiplied by a raised to negative 1 is simply equals to 1, right? Dun sa ating law of exponent. So, i-add mo lang yung exponent ng dalawa, mag-a-arrive ka ng a raised to 0. Correct? And this multiply this by x and y. Just copy. And this is equals to a raised to negative 1, or simply yung inverse of a matrix mo, ng matrix A mo, multiplied by this 2 by 1 matrix. Or this is equals to a raised to negative 1 and multiply this by 6 and 12, which is the entry of your 2 by 1 matrix. And a raised to negative 1, this is equals to 0, this is equals to 1, right? So, I can simply write it down as the 2 by 1 matrix, x and y, is equals to a raised to negative 1, and this is 6 and 12. Okay? So, meron na tayong sagot, o meron na tayong equation in terms of inverse of a matrix. This is 6 and 12. Okay? So, isulat ko dito. Meron na tayong nakuha na magagamit natin yung ating inversible matrix. We have X. I will write this one. Tanggalin ko to. Okay. I-write ko lang to. This is X and Y. And this is equals to the inverse of our matrix A. And this is multiplied by the equal sign. Equal sign. Doon sa right side natin. Okay. So, meron na tayong inverse of a matrix A. So, for us to solve for the value of X and Y, we need to determine the inverse of the matrix A. So, how to do that? So, we already know how to solve the inverse of a matrix, correct? That is equals to the classical adjoint of your matrix, which is A, and this is divided by the determinants of the matrix A. Diba? Ito yung ating formula in solving for the inverse of a matrix. Then proceed dun sa ating conventional way of solving for the classical adjoint and yung determinant of a matrix. Uunahin ko yung determinants, okay? So I will copy first yung given na matrix. The given matrix is this one. Sulat ko lang para meron tayong guide sa baba. I will copy first. This is the given matrix natin. So, these are given matrix. So, first thing to do is find yung ating determinants of the matrix. So, how to do that? So, meron tayong 2 by 2 matrix. So, madali lang hanapin yung ating determinants of the matrix A. Matrix A, determinants of that matrix A is simply equals to 5 and 3, negative 2, and negative 3. Okay? Yung Leibniz method natin. So, this is equals to 5 times negative 3 and subtracted by negative 2 times positive 3. Yun ang magiging sagot natin na determinants. So, this is equals to 5 multiply this by negative 3 and subtracted by negative 2 multiply this by positive 3. Okay, this is equals to negative 15 and negative times negative will be positive. That is positive 6. Therefore, our matrix A is equals to negative, ang determinants ng ating matrix A is equals to negative 9. We have already the value of the determinants of our matrix A. Okay? So, next, medyo mahaba-haba lang ng kunin yung classical adjoint. Anyway, this is only 2 by 2. So, maikli lang to kumpara kung magiging 3 by 3 yung ating matrix. So, solve for the value of our classical adjoint. So, classical adjoint na tayo. Ang classical adjoint, we all know that you need to determine the cofactor of all the entries of a matrix, then do yung transpose of a matrix. Yun na yung magiging classical adjoint natin, di ba? If you can still recall, or if you forget, just review yung ating video under the topic of the classical adjoint and also yung inverse of a matrix and also yung determinants of a matrix. Kunting review lang naman ang gagawin natin dito. Okay? So, let us now proceed in solving for the classical adjoint, yung ating ABJ. Ito yung ating nawawala. Solve na tayo dun sa ating determinants of a matrix. So, in order for us to determine this, kailangan natin isa-isahin yung cofactor ng bawat entry. Okay? So, let us first solve for the cofactor. Dito ko na isulat. First, cofactor. Cofactor lahat ng entries. Solve for the cofactor of all entry. Okay? Lahat ng entries natin. Nung matrix A mo. Okay? Ng matrix A mo. Okay? So, we have 5, 3, negative 2, and 3. So, unahin natin yung cofactor of the first row and first column. Yun yung 5. Ibababa ko lang para mas makita natin maayos. Ibaba ko lang to. So, we have 5, 3, negative 2, and 3. So, the cofactor of the first row and first column, or this is the cofactor of isulat ko ng direkta para mayroon tayong guide. So the cofactor of first row and first column, or simply the cofactor of 5, diba? Is equals to yung negative sign mo muna, then raise yung I plus j, which is meron tayong 1 plus 1. 1 plus 1. And multiplied by yung determinants ng remaining matrix mo after you mark or omit nung entry mo. Okay? Since we are considering the cofactor of 5, so tanggalin mo o i-mark mo yung entries na madadaanan nung yung intersection niya. Okay? So this is equals to anong matitira? That is negative 3. So we have negative 3 here. Then proceed sa simplification. 1 plus 1 is 2. And that is negative 1, so positive 1. Then multiply this by negative 3. Therefore, the cofactor of 5 is equals to negative 3. And nakaisa na tayo. Next, cofactor of 1 and 2, or simply the cofactor of 3. Okay? Then, right, first yung magiging sign mo, we have 1 plus 2. And multiply this by, I will erase yung ating markings, then do the markings. This is the first row, and this is under the second column. Okay? Ang matitira, ang remaining is negative 2. Yan. And this is equal to, this is odd number, so we have negative sign, and multiply this by negative 2. The value of our cofactor of 3 is equals to positive 2. Yan. Next, the cofactor of the second row and first column. Okay, tayo sa ating cofactor of negative 2 na. So, again, mark first para hindi kayo malito. We have here second row and first column. Okay? So, this is the cofactor of negative 2. And this is equals to, stats ko lang. So, again, yung negative sign natin, negative 1, yung sign, magiging sign mo ng element mo. So, negative 1 raised to 1 plus or 2 plus 1. Okay? 2 plus 1 tayo. This is 2 plus 1. And this is multiplied by the element na natitira. So, this is the determinants of 3. And this is equals to, this is odd number again. So, we have negative 1 and multiplied by 3. Our cofactor of negative 2 is equals to negative 3. Yan. Nakatatlo na tayo. Isa na lang natitira. Last one is the cofactor of the second row and second column element, or simply the cofactor of negative 3. Okay? Tanggalin ko ulit yung markings natin. Then do the markings. We have here the second row and the second column. Okay? 2 plus 2 tayo. This is the cofactor of negative 3 na. So this is equals to the negative sign again. And we have 2 plus 2. And multiplied by the determinants of the remaining entry, we have 5. And this is equals to, this is 2 plus 2, magiging even number or 4, that is positively magiging result. And multiply this by 5. Okay, this is 5. This is now the entries of your new matrix. Ito yung 5. And this is equals to ilan? This is equals to positive 5. So we have new entry, negative 3, 2, negative 3, and 5. You need to replace yung ating original matrix. This is the cofactor na, okay? This is the cofactor. I will write it here. So, we have already the matrix. Since ito nasa first row and first column, we have negative 3. Negative 3. First row, second column, ito namang 2. Yan. We have the second row, first column, we have negative 3. And the last element will be the second row and the second column is 5. Hindi pa ito yung classical adjoint. Ano, ito pala yung cofactor ng lahat ng entries natin. So, in order for us to determine, ito yung cofactor, ano, cofactor pa lang to, cofactor of your matrix A. This is the cofactor. What is our classical adjoint of the matrix A? Ang sagot dyan, i-transpose mo lang yung matrix na nakuha mo. So, therefore, our classical adjoint here, A, dj, is simply equals to the transpose of this new or yung cofactor of your matrix. Ano? So, ta-transpose mo lang. So, yung column mo magiging rows na yon. Okay? Yung first column mo, yun ang magiging first row mo. Negative 3, negative 3. Yung second column mo, yun ang magiging second row mo. We have 2 and 5. And this is our classical adjoint. Okay? Hopefully, nakakasunod lahat. Then proceed now, ipalit mo na to yung classical adjoint mo dito sa ating inverse matrix. Then makukuha natin yung inverse matrix. Again, ang value ng ating determinants or determinants of the matrix A is negative 9. So isulat ko na dito sa baba. So, ang ating inverse of the matrix is equals to ito. Okay? So we have negative 3, negative 3, and 2 and 5. And this is divided by yung negative 9 natin. Diba? Negative 9, which is, this is the determinants of the matrix A. And proceed sa simplification. This is now equals to negative 3 divided by 9, that is positive 1/3. Okay? Same thing, this is positive 1/3 also. And we have negative 2 over 9. And we have negative 2 or negative 5 over 9. This is the inverse of the matrix. Diba? Ito yung inverse natin. Then proceed, substitute this inverse of a matrix dun sa ating formula. Dito. Diyan na yun. Ito. This one. So we need to substitute that values here. X and Y, inverse of the matrix, and 2. I will copy that para hindi tayo maligaw. Copy again. Ipalit mo na dito. Copy. Then after substituting the values of the inverse of the matrix, then proceeds dun sa ating simplification. Okay? So this is now equals to dito ko na isulat, x and y, tanggalin ko lang yung over, x and y, this is equals to, i-copy mo na yung inverse of a matrix mo. Multiply na natin dito sa ating 6 and positive 12. So this is equals to 1/3, okay, 1/3 again, then negative 2 over 9, and negative 5 over 9. And this is multiplied by a 2 by 1 matrix, 6 and 12. Simplify na natin to. Solve na natin tong ating value ng x. So, dito ko na isolve sa right side. This portion. Kasi yung x and y, maintain mo na lang yan. Ito. So, using yung multiplication, 6 multiplied by 1/3 multiplied by 6. Okay? Then plus 1/3 multiplied by 12, di ba? Alam niyo na to, ano? Multiplied by 12. Then yung nasa second row, this is equals to negative 2 halves, 2 over 9 multiplied by 6 again, and plus negative 5 over 9. I will put parentheses para mas malinaw. And this is multiplied by 12. Okay? And this is your new 2 by 1 matrix. Yun yung magiging value mo ng x and y. So therefore, the value now of our x and y is simply equals to, simplify mo na to. Ano yung magiging result natin dito? This is equals to 6 and negative 8. Diba? O, simplify nyo na lang yan. Basic simplification. So this is, gawin ko pa rin. So this is equals to 3. 6 divide 3 is 2 plus. This is 12 divide 3, that is 4. Okay? So makakancel out isang 3 dito, isang 3, magiging that is equals to negative 4 over 3. Tama? Cancel out yung isang 3, matitira dito ay 2 times 4 tapos 3 naman dito. So this is negative. Same thing here, maka-cancel out isang 3, magiging 3 times, magiging 4 times, that is negative 20 over 3. Okay? Basic simplification na lang yan. Magkakaya nyo nang isolve yung basic simplification nito. So this is now equals to 2 plus 4, this is equals to 6. And this is yung LCD is 3. Yan. And just yung negative 4 minus 20. Or simply that is equals to 24. Ano? Direct ako na. So this is negative 24. And this is divided 3. And this is equals to 6 and negative 8. Yan. So the final answer is the value of our x and y. Your x here is your 6. Your y here is your negative 8. Okay? So the value of our x is equals to 6. The value of our y is equals to negative 8. This is the solution using yung inverse of a matrix in solving for the linear system. Ito yung two unknowns, the value of x and y. Linear system, two equation, two unknown tayo. So this is the value of our x and y. So hopefully this is clear in solving for the values of x and y using yung ating inverse of a matrix. Next, gamitin natin to dun sa ating 3 equation in 3 unknown. Medyo mahaba lang ng konti, but I will do some shortcut because you know already how to simplify. Okay? Let us proceed sa ating example number 2. Let us solve problem number 2 or example number 2 natin. To solve the system of this linear equation, we have 3 equations and we have also 3 unknowns need to determine in terms of x, y, and z. So, since we already have the example number 1, same procedure or same steps lang ang gagamitin natin. So, determine first all the numerical coefficient ng bawat term mo. So, sa first equation mo, kunin mo yung numerical coefficient ng x and y and z. So, yun yung magiging first row mo. So, negative 2, negative 3, and 5, that will be your first row. Sa second equation mo, you have 2, negative 6, and negative 2. That is your second row. And your last row is negative 1, 6, and negative 2. That is your last row. Okay? If we are going to write this system of linear equation into matrix form, ito na yung magiging itsura nun, di ba? Matrix A, or these entries multiplied by the variable x, y, and z, ito na magiging result nun. If I'm going to multiply A by x, y, and z, this will be the result. And doon sa right side, that is equal to yung equal side mo. Negative 5, negative 4, and 8. So this matrix form is the same as yung system of linear equation mo. Kumbaga, ito yung nasa matrix form, ito naman yung nasa system of linear equation form mo. So these two equal lang silang dalawa. Okay? Magkaiba lang yung form nila. Okay? Anong sunod nating step? Then multiply both sides this equation, this matrix form by the inverse of a matrix kasi kailangan natin mag-arrive sa equation ng may inverse of a matrix kasi yun ang kailangan natin isolve. So multiply both sides by inverse of a matrix. This will be the result. Kagaya ng ginawa natin sa example number 2. This will be the result. We have x, y, and z and equals to a raised to negative 1. If you do the multiplication of the inverse of a matrix, ito yung magiging result niya. Next, solve for this inverse of the matrix. So the formula of this is simply yung ating classical adjoint divided by the determinants of the matrix A. So ito na yung matrix A natin. I already copied yung ating matrix A from the top, from dito sa equation natin. So, for us to, meron tayong guide sa baba. So, solve first for the determinant of this matrix. So, sinulat ko na yung solution para mabilis yung ating solution. So, explanation na lang ang gagawin ko rito. Since yung procedure naman ito, nagawa ko na dun sa ating first example. So, the same procedure lang. Ulitin ko, the same procedure lang. It's a matter of given lang naman kasi ang given dito is 3 equation na 3 unknown. So, therefore, yung matrix mo is magiging 3 by 3 naman siya. And yung determinants mo will be 3 by 3 also. So, using yung Leibniz method natin in solving for the determinants, same method lang, multiply, -2, -6, and -2. Ito yung magiging nasa positive side or babawasan mo. Multiply this and add mo dito. I-add mo rin dito. Then all subtracted by yung upper side mo. Ito na yun, -2, -6, and -2. Ito na yung result niya. Okay, multiply. Then plus. -2, -3, multiply by -1, by -2 I mean, and multiply by -1. This is the result. So, lahat ng yan, andito na. So, in subtracted by, ibawas mo naman ng lahat na nandito. Okay? Sorry. Subtracted by this, and by this. Yan. So, our determinant of the matrix A is equal to -36. You can double check this one. You can solve your own. So, this is simply equals to -36. Then we already have the value of the determinants. Next, let us solve now for the classical adjoint. We already know that the classical adjoint is just the transpose of the cofactor of all the entries. So, meaning, kailangan muna nating hanapin yung lahat ng cofactor ng bawat entries na to. So, let us solve. Yung first element natin, the cofactor of the first element which is nasa first row and nasa first column, which is your -2. Okay? So, mark yung location niya. Mark yung first row and yung first column niya. Then, do the cofactor solution, -1. 1 plus 1 yung ating magiging exponent. Then, multiplied by the determinant of the remaining entries. We have -6, itong natitira. -6, -2, +6, and -2. Okay? Hanapin mo lang yung determinant nito, then you have already the entry ng ating cofactor of the first element which is your first row and nasa first column siya. So this is -2. Okay? So what is the values of this? This is equals to 24. Okay? That is 24. So, sunod-sunod na yun, hanapin mo na yung cofactor ng -3, which is this one. So, nakuha ko na yun, magiging value niyan is +6. The cofactor of your 1 and 3 or the cofactor of your +5 will be +6. So, sunod-sunod na, kunin mo yung cofactor ng 2, cofactor ng -6, cofactor ng -2, cofactor ng -1, cofactor of 6, cofactor of -2, and this is all the values niya. Then after that, ilagay mo na siya dun sa entries ng iyong matrix. This is the cofactor of the matrix A. This is the cofactor. Okay? Then, since ang hinahanap natin is classical adjoint, yung ating classical adjoint of the matrix A. Since this is only yung cofactor, kailangan mong i-transpose siya, di ba? Para mahanap natin yung classical adjoint. So, meaning, yung first column mo, magiging first row na. Yung second column mo, magiging second row na. Yung third column mo, magiging third row na. Ito na yon. Okay? Your first column, that is your new first row. Yung second column mo, that is your new second row. Yung third column mo, that is your new third row. So that is our classical adjoint. Okay? Meron na tayong value ng classical adjoint and meron na tayong value ng determinants of the matrix A. Then we can solve already yung inverse of a matrix. Let us solve now the inverse of the matrix. So, sinulat ko na rin. So, the inverse of a matrix, the classical adjoint divides by the determinants of the matrix A. So, this is the result. Ito na yung naging result ng division ng classical adjoint at tapos yung determinants ng matrix natin. This is the result. Okay? 24 divided by 36. Since lahat siya positive, therefore, yung magiging quotient niya, lahat naman siya is negative. Okay? Kasi negative yung ating divisor. Okay? Negative yung divisor. So, lahat ng entries mo will be negative sign. Then, after that, since we already have this inverse of a matrix, i-multiply na natin dun sa ating yung original equation, which is this one. X, Y, and Z, this is equals to the inverse of a matrix multiplied by yung equal side mo. Negative 5, negative 4, and 8. Ito na yung galing dito sa ating nakuha natin kanina. From here. Okay? From here. Kasi kailangan nating makuha yung inverse of a matrix. So, ipapalit mo na lang yung nakuha nating inverse of a matrix, which is these entries. O, ipalit mo na lang dito. Just substitute the inverse of a matrix from this equation, or to this equation. So, here, x, y, and z, that is equals to the inverse of a matrix, which is this. Okay? So, ito na yon. I already wrote it here. Then multiply this by negative 5, negative 4, and 8. So, yung multiplication natin ng matrix, alam niyo na. Alam niyo na to. Ano? Negative 5 times this, negative 4 times negative 3, times negative 2/3, then 8 multiplied by negative 1, then add. Ito na magiging result nito. Ano? Negative 2. Again, negative 1 over 6 times negative 5 plus negative 1/4 times negative 4 plus negative 1/6 times 8. The result will be 1/2. O, same procedure. Gawin mo dun sa last row. The result will be negative 3/2. So, this is the values of our x, y, and z na. Ito na yung magiging value mo na x, y, and z. This is the product of your elements of the matrix, or inverse of the matrix, tapos yung nasa equal side mo. So, therefore, the value of your x, y, and z is equals to x will be negative 2, y is positive 1/2, and yung z mo is negative 3/2. Okay? Ito na yun. So, ganun lang ano. Yung procedure, same lang. Wala namang ibang procedure dito. Nagkaiba lang dun sa given. Yung example number 1 natin is 2 by 2, ang matrix from the original system of linear equation na dalawang equation at dalawang unknown. Yung example na number 2 naman natin is 3 by 3 naman yung matrix na naging resolve from the 3 equation and 3 unknown naman na linear system of equation. So, hopefully, this is clear at naintindihan kung paano yung procedure in determining the unknowns. Maging 3 unknowns man yan o 2 unknowns man yan using yung inverse of a matrix. Ito yung topic natin dito. Ano? Using the inverse of a matrix. So, hanggang dito muna yung ating topic. I think yung dalawang example, enough yon para makapag-solve tayo ng system of linear equation. Okay? So, thank you sa pakikinig. Salamat sa inyong pagtsatsagang panunood dito sa video na to. Shout out sa lahat ng C3. Okay? Thank you.